Insect Glaive was my very first main weapon in 4U. Yes, I was the mounting guy that was severely obnoxious by mounting the monster to interrupt everyone's DPS every few minutes. Anyway, Insect Glaive focuses on providing yourself plenty of buffs by hitting the monster with your Kinsect buddy. Weave in and out of the monster's attacks with White Extract, resist small hits with Orange Extract, and cut down the monster with the stronger attacks that Red Extract provides. Later on in progression, your Extract buffs and Kinsects get even stronger, providing a more diverse array of effects. But does it come at a cost? Let's find out. Before we talk about general controls, let's first talk about your Kinsect and your Extract bar, without which your Insect Glaive would just be called Glaive, and that's not nearly as catchy. Your Kinsect is your buggy buddy, and the main gimmick that Capcom strapped onto Insect Glaive. In most styles, you can send your Kinsect out with RNX, and recall it with RNA. When your Kinsect collides with a monster, it collects an extract that corresponds to the part of the monster hit. Red extract tends to come from offensive parts of the monster, such as heads or Nargacuga's tail. White extract from ability parts of the monster, such as legs or Rathalos' wings. You can grab orange extract from defensive parts of the monster, such as torsos or Shogun Senator's shell. Finally, green extract can be collected from extra or miscellaneous parts of the monster, such as Mizutsune's back leg or Ukanos' entire tail. Remember that this is just a general rule of thumb, and monsters will often have surprising extract zones. Before long though, you'll build up a general sense of which extract you can collect from which part. After your Kinsect collides with the monster to collect extracts, you'll have to recall it to make it come back to you. Afterwards, its extract will be loaded into the extract bar in the top left. Each type of extract provides distinct benefits. Red makes your entire moveset faster and deal more damage, effectively making it an upkeep cost that you have to maintain for the whole hunt. If you don't have Red Extract, you should try to get Red Extract. White Extract makes your unsheathed movement speed much faster, allowing you to walk out of attacks more effectively, and when you vault, it increases the vertical distance covered. We'll cover what that is later. Orange grants knockback resistance, and green restores some health. It doesn't go into the extract bar though. Useful note, your Kinsect's currently collected extract is also shown in the extract bar, at the far right. Nifty, especially if you lose track of your Kinsect. If you have white extract and either red or orange extract collected simultaneously, that's called a double up. Double ups provide slightly boosted effects of their base extracts. Red and white gives you plus 15% attack, while orange and white gives plus 6% defense. All extracts expire 60 seconds after they're collected, and collecting the same type of extract as one you already have will refresh its duration. If an extract is about to expire, it'll fade in and out of the extract bar, letting you know that you have 10 seconds before its effect expires. Double up makes it more noticeable, but doesn't make it clear which extract will expire, so just keep on collecting extracts until the funny glow comes back. If you collect all 3 extracts, you enter a state called triple up. In this state, all extracts have their duration reset to 60 seconds, but collecting extracts won't be able to refresh triple up. In this state, you gain plus 20% attack and plus 8% defense, earplugs to negate some monster roars, wind res low, and super armor to negate some small attacks from friend and foe alike. You usually don't want to enter this state, instead maintaining red and white, because you'll be forced to lose red and white extract. But a certain hunter art, Extract Hunter, makes it way easier to maintain triple up. We'll talk about that in the hunter art section. Be flexible though. If you're about to lose red and white double up and you have orange extract collected, you may as well not worry about extracts for the next little bit of the hunt. Alright, let's briefly talk about how to control the Kinsect. It can be confusing for your first time. Under normal circumstances, your Kinsect will be sent in the direction your hunter's facing, at a constant altitude, for a certain distance. I suggest getting used to this basic send pattern, since it's the most effective way to grab extracts quickly. If you both remain still and send your Kinsect in the same direction, and it's at maximum distance, it'll instead double back towards you. I rarely find this useful, since if I've sent the Kinsect straight towards the monster, I've usually collected the extract I want anyway. Pay attention now, this part is real important. If you face a different direction after you've sent your Kinsect out, then send it there again, the Kinsect will beeline straight towards the maximum distance in the direction you're facing. It won't go in the direction you're facing from its location. Still confused? Okay, imagine a circle. That's your maximum Kinsect's range. Let's put our Kinsect at the top of the circle. If we face, say, directly to the left, then send our Kinsect there, it'll make a diagonal from the top of the circle to the left side of the circle. This complicated Kinsect behavior can be unintuitive, but it does allow you to collect extracts from unique angles. I just wouldn't recommend it for first timers. Just focus on simply sending your Kinsect straight out, then immediately recalling it to collect the extract it has. This covers 99% of all situations. Let's quickly cover some unique Kinsect behaviors you might want to know about. Briefly, when you send your Kinsect, it consumes a chunk of stamina, shown under your extract bar. It also passively consumes stamina in flight, and restores a chunk of stamina whenever you recall it, and restores it passively while it's inactive. If your Kinsect runs out of stamina while in flight, it'll return to you, and refuse any commands until it returns to you. Unlike your Hunter, however, you can send your Kinsect anytime it has stamina, rather than waiting for the stamina to refill. It'll also return to you if you sheath your weapon or leave the area. But if the latter happens and you have a collected extract on the Kinsect, you won't collect it after the area transition, so don't do that. If you don't give any commands to your Kinsect for a while, it'll prefer to hover near you, allowing you to hold an extract for a bit. This can be useful to maximize your extract uptime. Also, if your Kinsect hits a hard enough body part or the environment, it'll bounce, just like your weapon can. While it's bouncing, you can't send it at all. You can recall it though, so if your Kinsect is being lazy, just reel it back in. If you send your Kinsect 3 times in rapid succession, your Kinsect will perform a spin attack, which will do more damage than normal and prevent bouncing. You can also do this while your Kinsect is on your arm by holding R and X until you see the flash. Do this, and your Kinsect will do a spin attack when you release X. Finally, let's talk about perhaps the most well-intentioned but bad mechanic in the whole game, the pheromone shot. If you press and hold down R, a reticle appears on the screen. Let go of R and your hunter will let loose a pheromone shot. If the shot connects with a monster, it'll cause your Kinsect to be attracted towards the specific part on each send, regardless of where you're facing. This is immensely frustrating though, since you can't really control where the Kinsect is going to go, nor does it guarantee that the Kinsect will collect the extract from the pheromone shot location. Since your Kinsect only goes in straight lines, the monster might move, making your Kinsect hit a different part of the monster, or even worse, miss entirely. Ironic that a mechanic meant to give you more control over extracts gives you less control of them. Quick note. You can also use Pheromone Shot in midair, and it has marginal uses since it resects your velocity and knocks you back a bit. But try not to hit the actual shot. It's also worth shouting out that you can do a marker bash with R after any normal attack, which will also mark the monster, but this is perhaps the most useless attack ever since it's not only laggy, but if you're hitting a monster part with marker bash, you can probably already hit it with your Kinsect, which is just great. Now that that spiel's over, let's talk about the glaive part of Insect Glaive. The single R button move I didn't talk about in the previous section is your vault, performed with R and B. Vault lets you jump real high into the air from anywhere at any time, allowing you to perform jumping attacks without the need for a ledge. You can only vault forward from idle, but if you press back, R, and B after an attack, you can perform the vault backwards. I say forwards and backwards as if they take you a significant amount of distance in that direction, but really it's kind of like a dash's distance in those directions. Vault can serve a defensive purpose as well. The distance it takes you skyward allows you to dodge a lot of ground-based attacks if you time it well, but keep in mind that this isn't a real dodge, meaning you don't get any iframes. You do look real cool if you manage to vault over a Tiger X charge though. With White Extract, your vault takes you higher. And you can also use vaults to effectively cancel out roars. Roars that require HG earplugs will knock you back further, but being able to move sooner is pretty nice. With or without Red Extract, the only shared attack from idle is the Draw Slam attack, which you can do from idle with a direction and A input, or from sheathed with a direction and X input. Without Red Extract, your idle X is the sweep and swipe, while the forward X attack is the forward thrust. After either X attack, press X again for the wide sweep, and X a third time for the double lateral. Press A for the round slash, which covers a wide area and is useful for killing out small monsters. Press A again for the second slam, which has a long reach. In midair, press X for the jumping slash. With Red Extract, your most powerful attack is the first idle X attack, Upswings, dealing 3 hits directly forward. This attack's hitboxes are kinda weird, so try and get right up in the monster's grill before you use this. Forward X from idle instead is long swipes, which provides some really fast poking damage, but honestly upswings is more useful in the situations you think about using long swipes most of the time. After upswings, press X again for the double down attack, and X a third time for the triple roundhouse. This move is kinda awkward to use as theoretically it's a good combo ender, but it's pretty laggy and you can only perform it from double down, so into the trash can it goes. Press A anytime for the double roundhouse attack, then A again for the double lunge, a faster combo ender. You might notice attack's name as Tornado Slash, but nothing about this attack says Tornado to me. Why isn't the triple roundhouse called Tornado Slash instead? It's got 3 hits and you spin around like a tornado. Come on, Capcom, what the heck? Quick note. Using upswings after double roundhouse produces an extra linking hit, which you can't get anywhere else. Finally, you can press X midair for a double jumping strikes attack. After either double down or wide sweep, press back and A for the super backflip attack. You'll back off of the monster and deal damage in a high arc, making it useful for hitting high tails or monsters. Alright, it's combo time. These combos will all assume you have red extract because otherwise you're a silly person. The classic infinite combo is your bread and butter for long windows. Loop, double roundhouse, upswings, and double down. Once the window is about to close, use double roundhouse into double lunge for a handy and fast finisher. If you're hankering for a shorter combo on a non-downed monster, try a single loop of the infinite combo into the super backflip. For a really short window, try the forward lunge rush, double roundhouse, double lunge. This provides a medium amount of damage in a short window. It's time to talk about Striker IG. Striker cannot perform attacks with the A button. Instead, that button is changed so that it's all Kinsect related instead. A sends your Kinsect, holding down A charges it, and RNA recalls it. Your draw slam is now performed from directional X instead. Next up, it's Aerial IG. Aerial IG isn't as redundant as you'd think it is since it boosts the power of your vaults. For example, you can't perform a standard forward vault that takes you high up. Instead, you get an aerial lunging vault that launches you both forward and upward. This isn't faster than walking, but because you lose the draw slam while unsheathed, this is a way you can gap close the monster while attacking simultaneously. Also, in midair, you gain double jumping strikes by default. With red extract, you can press X in midair for the aerial spin assault, which makes you spin continuously and deals damage each spin. For a simple combo that involves the aerial spin assault, try the rapid spin assault, double roundhouse, upswings, aerial hop, aerial spin assault. Next is Adept Insect Glaive. The biggest thing about Adept IG is that your Kinsect gets tired real easy. You can only send it once before it tuckers itself out, no matter how much stamina it has. Oh, that's why it's no longer Kinsect stat in this game. On the bright side, your Kinsect does regain all its stamina when it returns to you, so you can still send it right after. After an Adept dodge, you can perform an Adept slam with X, or an Adept roundhouse with A. During the Adept slam, your Kinsect automatically attacks the same area which you attacked, or at least it tries to. Look, the Kinsect targeting isn't the greatest in the world. There's also a period of time after which the Kinsect actually attacks, so there's a high chance you might not get the extract you're wanting at that point in time. Also, if your Kinsect is already out and returning to you, well, tough luck. It doesn't regain stamina to perform an attack, so you're on your own, buddy. Finally, both double lateral and triple roundhouse are replaced with super backflip. Strap yourselves in, it's time for Valor IG. Valor IG is extremely similar to Guild IG at first glance, not really losing anything you'd notice. For one, in either state, you lose double lateral or triple roundhouse. Additionally, your Kinsect spin attack's damage is reduced to 50% of its power, rather than 60%. Whether or not you have red extract, performing a Valor sheath and pressing A uses the Valor backflip. Without red extract, pressing X after Valor sheath uses the Valor dual lateral, which is upgraded to Valor triple roundhouse with red extract. Pressing R and B after Valor sheath causes you to perform Valor vault. You lose the ability to normally perform vault while outside of Valor state. Are you getting tired of the words red extract yet? While Valor state is active, you gain Valor steps, and your Kinsect is empowered. Specifically, when you use the second slam or double lunge attacks, your Kinsect performs a spin attack immediately, and when you perform the round slash or double roundhouse attacks, you recall it, performing any one of a draw slam, super backflip, Valor backflip, jumping strikes, pheromone shot, or marker bash. Also causes your Kinsect to perform a Valor send attack, where it zigzags forward before going straight, making it cover a wide area first. Let's talk some Valor combos. Charging Valor Aggression is a combo for medium windows. Loop Valor Sheath, Valor Triple Roundhouse, and Double Lunge. Perform combined Extract Aggression by looping Double Roundhouse, Double Lunge, sending your Kinsect, Long Swipes, Double Down, and Double Roundhouse, recalling your Kinsect. This is a slower infinite combo that combines your attacks that send and recall your Kinsect. Let's talk about Alchemy IG. Alchemy IG cuts out the second X attack of a combo, and immediately goes into the third X attack, at the cost of being unable to charge your Kinsects. As always, performing a forward roll then pressing Y while you have the Alchemy barrel selected in your item bar, causes you to bring out the Alchemy barrel instantly, which can shorten your sheath time. Both double lateral and triple roundhouse charge the Alchemy gauge more quickly. Let's wrap up the styles with the meta-analysis. Both Guild and Valor IG are your best choices, both having the infinite. Guild has all of the power that Insect Glaive needs and none of the poison pills some of the worst styles have, and 2 HA slots are perfect for running Readiness and Extract Hunter, which we'll go over shortly in the Hunter Art section. Valor gives up an HA slot in exchange for the crutch factor of the Valor Sheath. Otherwise, it doesn't really lose or gain anything compared to Guild moveset-wise. Aerial is better than you'd think, given that it's, well, aerial, but it's also not as good as you'd hope. Strictly speaking, it only loses a good, quick damage-dealing combo with the loss of the draw slam, but it also doesn't really gain that much of aerial. The Spin Assault is cool, but good luck landing more than 3 hits on good hit zones, and the forward mobility people like to laud sometimes isn't real. White Extract walking takes you forward in the same amount of time that it takes the lunging vault to land, so really you're committing to the vault versus being able to react with just walking. Alchemy cuts above the other styles a bit, but the third HA slot doesn't really give it anything of note. You also can't super backflip since you lose the second X attack of your combo. Yeah, at least it's not Striker, which loses the ability to do the infinite combo and isn't nearly as mobile and flexible with its combos, which IG values in general. Adept is in the same boat, its fault being that you don't have Kinsect flexibility while also losing an HA slot. Something which is only mildly annoying to Valor, but is critical to Adept, because you'll probably want to run Extract Hunter after you miss one too many times with your Kinsect. It's time to talk about the flashy moves, Insect Glaive Hunter Arts. Extract Hunter yeets your Kinsect directly forward. The emphasis on forward. If your Kinsect connects with a monster, it'll collect all 3 of red, white, and orange extracts, then return automatically. When you collect it, it'll activate Triple Up, refreshing the duration of any other Triple Up if another one is active, including one activated from a previous use of this Hunter art. Note that if you use this art while your Kinsect is out and about, your Hunter will have to wait for your Kinsect to ready itself on your person before yeeting it, and it'll be launched at the same speed regardless of its speed stat. It'll also consume all of its stamina, regardless of how much or how little it has. Finally, your Kinsect can and will yeet itself into the terrain, so make sure that your line of fire is extremely clear, otherwise you will yeet it into the wall or slope. Swarm summons a swarm of bugs that surround you. Finally, the great thunderbugs are on my side. While they rotate around you, they deal steady damage to things that come into contact with it. Swarm is also boosted by your collected extracts. Red makes him deal more damage per tick, quote-unquote more. White makes him deal damage twice as fast, and orange increases their stagger damage by 20%. The closer you are to the target, the more hits you deal. The higher rank of Swarm you use, the more often it deals damage. Bug Blow swipes upward twice before vaulting into the air and slamming down onto the monster, simultaneously dealing a lot of mounting damage. If you have Swarm active, it consumes Swarm's duration in order to deal an extra hit of damage. Each rank of Bug Blow additionally increases the height at which you travel with Bug Blow. Bug Measure motivates your Kinsect with a good old speech, buffing it so that it performs spin attacks every second send, rather than every third. And if it contacts a monster while it performs a spin attack, it'll also deal several hits in a spinning attack, rather than just one. Let's examine how good these hunter arts are in practice. Extract Hunter makes it so that you can ignore collecting extracts for the rest of the hunt, as long as you can chain them together. As you can imagine, not having to play the minigame does wonders for your DPS uptime, and you gain the extract effects of your Kinsect constantly as a bonus. The only real sour note about this is the trajectory at which you use to send your Kinsect. It's very possible to just waste the use of this slamming your Kinsect into the terrain, and you'll feel real bad about your Kinsect being launched at Mach 5 right into the dirt. Quick shout out to Elsgrad and Argenes, a certain kind of Kinsect which have triple up plus, extending the duration of all triple ups, including the one from Extract Hunter. It's pretty great. Swarm is bad. I legitimately don't know how to use this floating ball of apparently dead insects, given that it does a mind-boggling 5 fixed damage per attack, 6 with red extract. That's more than poison! How is it not used in every time attack ever? Your mind probably thought, well, if it hits constantly, that means it also helps your mount, but it doesn't! I thought that too, which is why I tested! The one use case for taking Swarm is taking it with Bug Blow, which itself is okay. It's a big damage art on a weapon with which you don't really see the kinds of numbers you'd get with Bug Blow, and it's probably a better use of certain damage windows than the Infinite, but only just. On Guild, you'd tend to take Readiness instead because it's just that broken. Bug Measure exists. It's a buffing HA that makes your Kinsect more useful. And when you don't really want to play the minigame when you take Extract Hunter, its usefulness is suddenly limited to Kinsect-only hunts. I mean, it looks cool. Consider using it with Valor, I guess, since your Kinsect attacks automatically there. Time to take an aside into learning your Kinsect science in depth with Kinsect Etymology. We talked briefly about how to control it at the start of the video, but now's the time to talk about the Kinsect and its expansive separate upgrade system. Each Insect Glaive has either a blunt or a cutting type Kinsect. Cutting type Kinsects deal cutting damage, which can sever tails, while blunt Kinsects function like hammer and hunting horn, letting them potentially KO monsters with enough blunt force trauma directly to the head. Kinsect Swap, a feature new to Generations, allows you to trade Kinsects between Insect Glaives, but Insect Glaive cannot trade between blunt and cutting type Kinsects. They can only trade with a matching type. Now we'll go over the Kinsect stats and what they mean. Power determines how much damage your Kinsect deals when they collide with a monster. Speed determines how fast they'll fly in all circumstances, including sending, recalling, and when they're tuckered out. Weight determines how much stagger damage they'll deal. Finally, the one stat you can't see directly is its stamina. Stamina in Generations is basically the amount of time a Kinsect can remain in flight, as shown by the blue bar below your extract bar. Stamina increases with the Kinsect's upgrade level, regardless of what kinds of jellies you feed it. Thank Adept IG for changing stamina mechanics from 4U. So how do you upgrade your Kinsects? In Gen, Kinsects were changed to upgrade separately from your glaive, so that you don't have to worry about being forced to upgrade your buddy. It even has its own upgrade menu. Now, don't be alarmed by this menu's UI. Kinsect upgrading is relatively straightforward in this game. You need to feed your Kinsects jellies, which you commit to by pressing plus. As you feed jellies to your Kinsect, this gauge on the left side of the screen will gradually fill, and eventually tick over once it's full. Each time you fill a bar, you gain a stat point towards the corresponding stat. Once you gain 3 stat points through any means, it doesn't matter if you invest them all into one stat or spread them out over multiple stats, you're forced to level your Kinsect. This process is similar to upgrading weapons. Once you upgrade, you'll have to feed your Kinsect again and accumulate 3 stat points in order to upgrade again. Simple enough, right? If you're wondering what to level beyond the stat requirements for your Kinsect, I recommend Speed, then Power. Speed increases your Kinsect's ability to do what it does best, collect extracts. Power because it's not completely useless, unlike Weight, which is basically a placebo effect. You can also feed your Kinsect elemental ambrosias, which lets them deal their elemental values shown each hit. Like dual blades, they can have up to 2 elements at once, but their total element value is limited by their upgrade level. Furthermore, if you have multiple leveled elements, only the 2 highest levels will apply. If multiple elements have the same level, then the element that takes priority will be the first listed element on this list: fire, water, thunder, ice, and dragon. You can also reset elemental allocations, unlike stat points, with a reverse ambrosia. Alright, time for the big reveal of the Kinsect upgrade tree. This basically functions like a weapon upgrade tree, but for Kinsects. Note that in order to upgrade your Kinsects, they have to meet specific stat requirements, which I've shown in both actual base stats and number of stat points in parentheses. Also note, these base stats I've shown are from the Kinsect upgrade menu, not your Kinsect stats in your equipment menu. Those are affected by Kinsect skills. A link for the Kinsect tree will be included in the description. Kinsect upgrading can be thought of as Kinsect evolution to match their stat investment, kinda like Digimon. When you upgrade, you ascend a tier. This means that upgraded Kinsects do have a minimum level, basically being every 3 levels up to level 9. Level 9 is also important for Kinsects, as some Kinsect skills only activate when you get to level 9. These range from stat changes such as movement up and power up L, to entirely new abilities such as fast charge or extra stamina scales. Extract skills take effect each time you collect an instance of the listed extract, activating some effects simultaneously. These can be effects that take place while you have the extract of the listed name, such as W affinity up S, which grants 15% affinity while you have white extract, to effects that impact the duration of collected extracts, such as R sustain L, which greatly boosts the time that red extract is active once collected. Some extract skills also require the Kinsect to be level 9 before they activate. Now it's time to quickly discuss individual Kinsects and how they upgrade. On tier 0, we have the Cauldron and Maldron, being the basic Kinsects given to all freshly made IGs. Note that whenever I mention a specific Kinsect name, it'll always be the cutting type Kinsect first, then the blunt type Kinsect. On tier 1, specializing in power lets you upgrade into a Lucanid and Foe Beetle. Specializing in weight lets you upgrade into Rigiprane and Lady Charge. Specializing in speed gives you Wind Chopper and Ghoulshad. If you instead balance out your Kinsect stats, you can upgrade into Elskrad and Argenes, tier 2 Kinsects, which we'll cover in the tier 2 Kinsect section. From tier 1, you can upgrade into tier 2 Kinsects by either further specializing into your stat or balancing out your investments a bit. Power specialization lets you upgrade from Lucanid and Foe Beetle into Monarch and Lucanid and Carnage Beetle, while balancing your stats out results in Empress Wing and Bonnet Feet. Weight specialization lets you upgrade from Rigiprane and Lady Charge into Kincataman and Lady Pavis. And stat balancing results in Fiddlebricks and Arc Maiden. Speed specialization lets you upgrade from Wind Chopper and Ghoulshad into Grand Cathar and Bullshroud, or alternatively Pseudocasp and Whispervesp for balanced investments. Finally, we also have the previously mentioned Elskrad and Argenes, which are exclusive upgrades from tier 0 Kinsects which are entirely balanced. Tier 3 Kinsects are created from tier 1 or 2 Kinsects. There is only one tier 3 Kinsect per stat focus, each of which focus on a secondary stat. The capstone Kinsect for power is the Exalted Alucanid and Gleam Beetle, with their secondary focus being speed. For weight, we have Bilbobrix and Lady Tower, which also focus in power. Finally, for speed, we have Foliacath and Fleet Flammer, with a secondary focus in weight. There are also a few DLC Kinsects exclusive to some DLC-only weapons. You can't upgrade them in any way, nor can you Kinsect swap to them. They're pretty much just there for the looks. The best Kinsects are the pure speed tier 2 Kinsects, Grand Cathar and Bullshroud. W affinity up L just gives 30% affinity for free. That's critical eye plus 3, an armor skill that takes plus 20 expert points, just naturally. It's nuts. The Mind's Eye effect is also nice, and the increased all-around ability of the Kinsect helps with extract gathering. Close runner-ups are the balanced Kinsects, Elskrad and Argenes, mostly because they're Kinsects which are still good, mainly thanks to their triple up plus that don't go overboard with the affinity. Did I mention that triple up plus also activates with Extract Hunter? This is the Kinsect of choice for the Crimson Fatalis Insect Glaive, the best IG in the game, as well as other IGs with which you'd cap affinity. An alternative Kinsect for the Elderfrost Gambado, a contender for the top IG, is the Carnage Beetle, the pure power tier 2 Kinsect. This is thanks to its R Restore Sharpness Extract skill, which can be repeatedly spammed in order to provide sharpness upkeep. Next up are the tier 3 weight and speed Kinsects, Foliacath and Fleet Flammer. These little guys are useful because of the Ode Tremor Res, providing a way to get that without having to invest in the armor skill. Use these when you're fighting monsters such as Lao, Rajang, or Deviljho. The Tier 2 pure weight Kinsects, Concatemin and Lady Pavis, flip the Najarala matchup on its head, both shutting down the constant noise it makes and utterly negating its constant chip damage with the O HD Earplug effect and the O Hero's Talisman effect. Plus, Najarala is a snake. Snakes have big torsos which yields orange extract. Try it out if you really hate Najarala. I do. Finally, time to talk about progression. For quick progression, it's the classic Petrified Rod, Obsidian Rod, and Elder Rod here. No worries about any stealth bad weapons, at least with Insect Glaive. Armor progression is the same as a Blade Master too. Bushibu, Wrath Mix, then upgrade to high rank, then snag Saint Cross in G rank. For low rank, we got the mainstay Petrified Rod. It's your classic self-defense weapon. Great Macau's also got a Fader Rod Insect Glaive for you, so grab that if you like green sharpness. I do. We also got Bushibu early on, so far it's sounding pretty familiar. Senator armor also exists if you like Razor Sharp instead of the purple-brown fashion disaster. Now for the exceptions. Iron Bayonet comes up in Village 5 just because it kicks slightly better than the Fader Rod and has a bunch of green sharpness at this point. It's probably the only point where it's useful though. There's also Bolt Chamber, Kezu's Insect Glaive, which packs a whole lot of thunder and is useful for taking out Rathalos, so you can grab his armor and his mix set. If you also like elemental flavors, also consider picking up Fox Halberd, Astalos Cudgel, and Flaming Toza if you're so inclined. The high rank opener consists of the Obsidian Rod, and shortly after the Flaming Toza with Monster Keen Bones. Shoutouts to Senator S if you're really feeling like you need defense, but otherwise if you like thunder, upgrade Bolt Chamber with high rank Kezu parts. Next rank up, put Rathalos on repeat with Rathalos S and the mix set again. At the same time, the Fated 4 Insect Glaives were surged into the recommendations with their high rank fights. Lollygagging in high rank before you tackle G rank content, use Ashen Hellday, the Hellblade Insect Glaive, to make monsters explode indiscriminately. Or for longer individual hunts, consider upgrading your Fox Halberd into Curved Naginagi for those Water Weak fights. There's also the classic Silver Soul and High Soul recommendations if you're going all in on the completionist mentality. Breaking into G rank, we got the Elder Rod, which is a fantastic early G option for all-around damage. Shortly after, we got Saint Cross for armors, a genuinely fantastic progression choice, and Nargacuga's Evening Call, which are both options against Alchemy. If you're struggling against Lao, pick up Valstrax's Dragon Star Shuma with a dedicated anti-Lao set. Don't forget your Tremorous Kinsect. Afterwards, grab Astalos' Thunderstorm Cudgel, Mizutsune's Curved Naganagi IG, or the Glaveness Hellday for your elemental options. At the same time, Rathalos Cross and the Mix set also return as solid armor options if you skip Saint Cross. Right at the tippy point of G4, we also have Great Macau's Great Return with the Escama Fader, featuring a strong 330 raw with big white sharpness. There's also Kezu's Surge Chamber, which is also an option for Atal-Ka. Before we formally get into endgame, let's cover mix sets. Insect Glaive endgame options all really like Sharpness plus 2 and Razor Sharp, so there might not be much in terms of skill space left for anything else. If you do, it'll usually go to the classic affinity boosters, such as Weakness Exploit, Challenger, Critical Eye, and Critical Boost. Insect Glaive doesn't really need anything special, but your Kinsects Extract skills can allow you to reach the affinity cap more easily than most other weapons, so do keep it in mind when you're building sets. There are two contenders for the top Insect Glaive: Elderfrost Gambado from Elderfrost Gammoth, and the Absolute Ruiner Glaive from Crimson Fatalis. The Absolute Ruiner Glaive packages all of 330 raw, 55 blast, and a free 15% affinity, and triple slots. The nepotism at Capcom must be outrageous because this is truly a nutso Insect Glaive, usable for loads and loads of hunts. Its only weakness being really long hunts such as EX Deviants where the blast falls off. It demands both Sharpness plus 2 and Razor Sharp though, so layer on those Sharpness boosters. On the other hand, we have the Elderfrost Gambado. It has a chunker's 380 raw with 25 ice and a small but appreciated 5% affinity with 10 defense. This stat spread combined with the ice makes it better for longer hunts and makes it just as general purpose as the Absolute Ruiner Glaive. The Deviant boost is also nice for Extract Hunter upkeep. Like the Absolute Ruiner Glaive though, it really wants Sharpness plus 2 and Razor Sharp, which are made harder to get because of this weapon's lack of slots. A secondary Insect Glaive is Old Fatalis' Fatalis Overlord. It features the same raw and sharpness pattern of the Absolute Ruiner Glaive, but trades the 55 blast and triple slots for a still monstrous 45 thunder. With the amount of Thunderweak monsters in GU, this is a great alternative for them. Brush off of progression? Try maxing out that Mizutsune Glaive instead, the Eventide Kazanagi. It shares the top water IG spot with, coincidentally, the Soul Seer Mizutsune IG, and has a solid 320 raw with good 32 water, and a free 10% affinity. It's also got a workable amount of purple with just sharpness +1, making it nice to use on some leaner sets. Alternatively, try a fleeting existence from Soul Seer Mizutsune. Same amount of raw 320, but trades the slot in 5 water for 10% affinity and deviant boost. For fire, we also have a tie. Agonactor's Inferno Halberd is similar to Nargacuga IG in statage, having a low 280 raw for increased sharpness and a base 25% affinity. It's also got a sizable 45 fire. This IG also doesn't need sharpness +2. The competitor for fire is the Glaiveness Hell de Nova, with a better 330 raw at the cost of only having 30 fire and no base affinity. Either are good anti-Camelio sticks. Finally, for Dragon, we have the last of the Fatalis trio with the Fatalis Glaive. Note that this is the rare 3 version of the Fatalis weapons, what I like to call the I can't believe it's not Fatalis series. Like its brethren, it demands sharpness +2 and razor sharp for usability, but it has a standard 330 raw with a nice and solid 40 Dragon. Finally, let's shout out your status IG options if you're a weirdo. Eardrome Sanguine Serpent for poison, either Najaralis Paralyzing Vine or the generic Stratosphere Glaive for para, and for sleep, Nersilla's Decurbidus. If you're looking for Kinsect recommendations, I've already covered that back in the Kinsect Etymology section. I'll briefly reiterate here. In general, Grand Cathar and Bullshroud for tons of free affinity, Elskrad and Arginess if you'd cap affinity. For specifically the Elderfrost Gambado, you can run typical Bullshroud for damage or Carnage Beetle for easier sharpness maintenance. One last shout out to Foliacaf and Fleet Flammer for the utility of O Tremores, and Concatamon and Lady Pappas to obliterate the Najarala matchup. Insect Glaive used to be very solid when it was introduced in Monster Hunter 4. Unlike its brother Charge Blade, who was also introduced in the same generation, it's generally been kept at a similar performance, only receiving a slight damage output nerf as well as the reduction of triple up pluses effect from double the duration down to 1.5 times the duration. This means that in this game, Insect Glaive is still on the upper mid scale of power relative to the other weapons. Styles unfortunately don't do much for it, either making you take a poison pill for relatively minor upsides, being overall meh, or just being a copy of Guild. Arts, though, provide it with plenty of utility. Okay, again, it's just readiness and Extract Hunter. But those two provide Insect Glaive with plenty of damage uptime, so while it's not as explosive as Charge Blade was, and still kinda is, you can easily both keep up with a mobile monster and whack the crap out of it with consistent damage output, getting the best of both fast and slow weapons. It's not broken, and it's certainly not bad at all.